In 2020, a mid-sized gaming publisher named Nacon went public on the Paris Stock Exchange. Its shares traded around 10 euros each. The company owned over a dozen studios, major racing licenses, a global hardware business, and plans to revive one of racing's most beloved franchises, Test Drive Unlimited. On paper, everything looks stable, but by 2025, Nacon reported 167.9 million in annual revenue and employed more than 1,000 people worldwide. Sounds like success, right? But today, Nacon stocks sit around 26 cents, a collapse of roughly 97%, and trading has been suspended while the company undergoes court-supervised restructuring. At the same time, players of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown have watched updates struggle, features slip, and confidence erode. So the obvious question is, did Solar Crown fail? Or was Solar Crown built inside a company that was already financially fragile? To understand that, we need to talk about one number, a number that explains almost everything. Nacon generated 167.9 million in revenue last year. After its operating costs, the profit was only 1.1 million. So let's break that down. That equals a 0.65% operating margin. Let's translate that into plain language. So for every $100 that Nacon earned, they only kept 65 cents. That's not good. That's not good. The other $99.35 was required just to keep the company functioning. Now here's why that matters. In the gaming industry, healthy publishers operate at a 10 to 20% profit margin. Okay, 10 to 20%. Keep in mind, Nacon's operating at 0.65%. Companies below 5% enter financial risk territory. Below 2%, companies become extremely vulnerable to shocks. Nacon wasn't below 2%. It was below 1%. Now, this isn't just for TDUSC. This is across the whole company, okay? They do a lot more, but obviously we've had ties to TDUSC. We've talked about a lot, and a lot of us are just upset with how it's gone. Right here, this is it. Things will be really better in the next months. This is their fucking MO. Every time, my girlfriend's probably gonna get on me for saying that word. This is what they say. Every time we're supposed to get a reveal, it's gonna be better in the next few months. Just you fucking wait. Don't you worry. A couple months, fixed. They've been saying that since launch. Of course. 9 months from now, we'll give you more details on how this is going to work. It was overpromised and underdelivered. It still has its issues, and you know, I am hated in the community by majority still likes me, but I don't sugarcoat, and you know, I understand people get addicted to a game and it becomes their identity, and they don't like anybody pointing out the facts, whether it's good or bad about their game, and they just fly off the handle and they get mad. But guess what? We got to talk about these things, and the facts are the facts. You know what I mean? Hate me all you want. Facts are the facts. All right. Like, I wanted the game to be good. That was the plan for my channel, TDUSC. Okay. Always online, MMO racing game, content updates, could drive around, flash your lights, race random people. You had the ranked stuff. I was all in. It flopped, man. It flopped, and it continues to flop. But we're going to go over that today. All right, we're going to go over that. Healthy publishers operate around that 10 to 20% margin. Nacon was at 0.65%. Okay. So that means the company effectively had no financial cushion. So if expenses increased slightly or revenue dipped slightly, profit disappears instantly. And investors know this. That's why margins matter far more than revenue. Revenue tells you size, margin tells you survival. All right, so why these numbers are bad? All right, let's compare. A hypothetical healthy publisher earning 167 million annually, just as a figure because that's what Nacon earned last year, with a 15% margin would keep 25 million profit. Keep in mind, Nacon kept 1.1 million. Okay, that's what a healthy company would keep at a healthy size. Okay, that's a big difference. That money funds delayed projects, experimental games, technical setbacks, long support cycles. Nacon kept 1.1 million. That's not expansion money. That's not survival money. Now consider their scale: 1,000+ employees, multiple studios, licensed IP agreements, global publishing operations. One major project delay alone can cost several million euros, meaning one mistake could erase an entire year's profit. This is what analysts call operating without buffer. Companies without buffer depend heavily on debt financing, which brings us to the next problem. Call this the mid-tier trap. Now, Nacon exists in a dangerous industry position. They're too large to be cheap, but too small to be resilient. AAA publishers survive failures because hits subsidize losses. Indie studios survive because costs are tiny. Mid-tier publishers must take AAA-size risks without AAA-size safety nets. Solar Crown was exactly that kind of risk. A live service MMO racing game requires persistent online infrastructure. We've seen it just launched on PS Plus, and their servers a year and a half into launch still can't handle any additional load. I mean, look at Steam. Player count maybe hits 200 a day. Obviously, it's more on consoles. It can't be that much more. You know, it was free on PS Plus. Server still crashed. A year and a half in, it should not be having these issues. I mean, come on, right? Continuous development teams, licensed vehicles and brands, long-term content roadmaps, post-launch staffing. Unlike traditional games, costs don't stop at release. They continue indefinitely. So success depends on predictable, recurring revenue. Let's look at Solar Crown through a financial lens. Solar Crown experienced a 2-year delay. Every delayed month increases costs without generating revenue. Staff salaries continue. Marketing must be adjusted. When the game launched, players noticed missing legacy features. I mean, we didn't have housing, taxi missions, licenses. Like, literally, it was just bare bones, right? Technical instability. I mean, we paid for gold editions, what, $90 USD? Early access. Game didn't work. You couldn't log in. I think if I pull up my stream from launch day, I got up at like 4 a.m. when the servers went live. I think it took us 4.5 hours before we got past the character creation screen. 4.5 hours. All weekend issues. And then what do? They compensated us with a car that I don't even think went in the game to get, like a Porsche Carrera off-road edition. Yeah, I mean, we could talk so much about what has happened, right? But we'll just leave it at the technical instability, especially at launch. It's still present. Slower update cadence as far as seasons. I mean, they do what, 4-month seasons? This one is the longest. Season 5 right now was extended to 5 months. Unusually long for live service games. At the same time, the studio attempted a major engine overhaul. Engine changes late in development are among the most expensive and risky decisions a studio can make. From a player perspective, this looked like poor execution. I mean, the engine overhaul did not increase the FPS. Sure, if you've got a 50 series graphics card and an insane CPU, like a 5K plus computer, sure, you can get it. But like, I still have people arguing in the comments on my last video, say, oh yeah, PS5 runs at 60 FPS. What are you smoking, dude? It does not run at 60 FPS. There's still pop-ins, there's still big issues. So basically, season 5 was supposed to be 5 months to implement their new engine that they were talking about for, I don't know, 8 months, that it was going to fix the game, fix the optimization, fix the FPS, fix the graphical bugs, the shadows, all the jagged edges, but it still relies heavily on motion blur and anti-aliasing and like all kinds of bullshit. It just looks bad. I mean, go to Reddit. People are ripping the game to shreds that have gotten it free on PS Plus. Like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't perform well. It's not good, right? It's just not good. From a financial perspective, it looks like a team attempting structural fixes while operating under constrained resources. The difference does matter, because financially stressed teams often ship incremental fixes instead of systemic solutions. All right, let's talk about the cash shop. Eventually, Solar Crown introduced purchasable in-game currency. Many players saw this as a broken promise, but economically it follows a known survival pattern. All right. Live service success depends on something they call ARPU, average revenue per user. If player growth slows, companies increase monetization efficiency. Not because players increase, because revenue stability becomes necessary. When margins are thin, predictable income becomes more valuable than player goodwill. That's not a moral judgment, it's financial pressure. So, I mean, we all know that the game hasn't been doing good. Out of 5 stars and 20,000 reviews on PlayStation, it's at a 2.1 out of 5 stars. They said that they weren't going to introduce in-game currency that you could buy with real money, and then they introduced the diamond shop, and then people were buying diamonds and then they weren't getting it into their account. They had to contact support, and then they started dropping like the wide body R35 that was already in the game but just had a wide body. They said they would never allow players to buy in-game currency like the solar coins that you buy the cars with, because they want you to grind and stay in the game longer to then buy the other things that they have on the shop to keep you playing. But now they have what, like $100 real money pack to buy millions of credits in the game so you can just fast track your way. We know that they've been struggling financially, and it really is a last ditch effort to try to milk the remaining player base to get some revenue coming in, because they know their company as a whole is failing. And it probably came from the top down, like, hey, you're gonna have to introduce this, we need more money, we're not making enough revenue. And you know, sadly, it's one of those things where a lot of players already lost just complete, nobody cares anymore, because they promise all these fixes and then it never happens, and the game is still in a bad state. So everybody still feels like they didn't even get their money's worth from launch, let alone now to dump more money into the game. Why? I mean, how many times did they nerf the economy? You do a 5-minute race and get 15,000. You know, some of the cars cost 8, 10, 15 million dollars. It takes you forever, right? But here we are. The 43 million euros moment. The tipping point came when Nacon's parent company, Bigben, failed to repay a 43 million euro bond obligation. Now, this just happened recently. We made a video on it. This wasn't caused by one game. It was caused by insufficient liquidity. When margins are thin, companies rely on refinancing debt. When refinancing fails, insolvency begins, which Nacon just filed for today. Okay. Judicial reorganization allows courts to determine, can this company survive restructuring? Operations continue, games continue, but spending becomes cautious. So basically, we're in the stage where now mid-March, I think, is their court date. So basically, if they get approved, if they can, like, they're going to have people outside of the company digging into like numbers, revenue across the whole company. And if they decide, okay, well, this is profitable, but this isn't, they're going to start cutting. They're going to start doing layoffs. They're going to, I mean, if TDU just isn't profitable, like, we can't see the numbers for the shop and, you know, sales numbers and stuff, right? But if they decide that it's even a little bit worth it to keep it going, they're going to. But it's kind of at this point like a 50-50 shot that it's just going to get canned, or it's going to go in, like I said before, like a maintenance mode where these 4 to 5 month seasons are going to be stretched even longer. We might not even get houses. We, like, the whole year 2 might even be canned at this point. And then, I mean, if it's just not profitable and it's a live service and they have to keep paying, like they're about to bring on Pagani, that can't be cheap for that license. Don't they have like Puma and stuff in game? Like, they're gonna, I know they probably already spent the money on that, so they might be like, well, we already paid for these brands, let's put it in the game and see what happens. But at the same time, if they look at the numbers and the sales and it's just not good, and the reviews are like, they're outside sources are gonna dig into this and decide if it's worth it. But I mean, let's be honest, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. I mean, this is across everything as well. I mean, a lot of people, I haven't tried a lot of their other games, but I've heard they're really bad. So it just almost seems like they just can't make good games. And it's like, what causes that? Management, not enough budget. I mean, look, we've all had jobs, probably most of us, some probably not, but if you've ever been in a management role, you know there's always people that can't do their job, suck at their job, and they keep them on and they never get fired, they never get talked to, they never improve. So, you know, if you've got a company and you've got a few bad devs that can't do their job, they can't code properly, they can't do this, and it just keeps creating bugs and problems, but then they don't fire them or they can't get new ones, it's kind of like, well, now your game's going to suffer, right? I mean, Look at Highguard, look at Concord, you know, they were shut down. TDU hasn't been shut down yet, but I feel it's on the horizon, man. Like, I wanted this game to be good, but after, you know, we all got scammed and what's happened, it's just not, it looks like a PS3 game, sometimes a PS2 game. It's just not, it's not going to get better. In a year and a half, it hasn't gotten better. What are we going to do? We'll wait till I'm 55 years old to play this game? All right, let's look at why the stock collapsed 97%. That's massive. And this happened months leading up to when their trading was just halted now because of all this legal stuff going on. Markets saw the risk long before their insolvency, which started today. A 97% stock decline reflects years of investor concern. All right, this was building up. This didn't just happen this week. All right. Investors weren't reacting to patch notes. They were reacting to a company earning massive revenue while keeping almost none of it. Solar Crown didn't destroy investor confidence. It existed during its collapse. So what decides Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown's future at this point? Well, courts now evaluate one metric. All right, like I said, that's probably two and a half weeks from now. Contribution margin, that's what they're going to look at. Does the game generate more revenue than it costs to maintain? If yes, it'll survive. If not, scope reduces. It's basically, in layman terms, that's what you're going to get. All right. Sure, there's a lot of other factors, but that's, if yes, survive. If not, goodbye. Player numbers alone do not decide survival. Revenue efficiency does. So it's up in the air, right? I mean, if they have other games they're working on, I mean, Rensport wasn't good. There's some game that just came out on the Switch too. I haven't looked into it, but I haven't heard good things. I mean, live service games are always the first to go, right? If they've got other things, or like they're making their wheels and stuff, and that's going to produce more, they'll probably go with that. But I mean, you got to figure, if this happens, we're definitely not going to get an offline mode. It's just gonna be dead. It's just gonna disappear. And then people that did spend money, guess what? You just wasted all that money. All right, let's wrap this up. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown may not be the reason Nacon entered insolvency, but it represents what happens when ambitious live service development meets razor-thin financial margins. The game became a stress test for a company already under pressure. And now, both the publisher and the game share the same question. Can they become sustainable before time runs out?